and people don't like her. People don't want that. They like a person like me that's not mean. Okay, I'll see you guys.
He was talking about Elizabeth Warren. He's like, I'm not mean. She's mean. She's a mean person. She went after Mike Bloomberg. That's for sure. I mean, that was really the only thing that she did in the campaign anybody's going to remember. She decided to just rhetorically knife Bloomberg on that stage in front of everybody. I mean, she went Brutus on Julius Caesar. She was going right after him. It was rough. It was rough stuff, to be sure. But, Trump does like people, as I was saying to you. I hope that little rant about that all held together and made sense, because it is how I feel about this. I think it's one thing about him that's very underrated by his opponents. They keep thinking he's a billionaire. He's dated, pinup girls and, blah, all this other stuff. Yeah, but he just also likes people. And a lot of smug libs out there. Look, there are Republicans. I don't think Mitt Romney likes people very much. I think Mitt Romney likes to think he likes people, but Mitt Romney's he likes to hang out in very rarefied circles, I think. Speaking of which, as if his little vote against Trump in one of two areas on the impeachment wasn't annoying enough, now he's the go-to for the mainstream media, trying to let us know that we shouldn't find out any more about what really happened with Biden and Burisma. Play 16.
There's no question but that the appearance of looking into Burisma and Hunter Biden appears political. And I think people are tired of these kind of political investigations, and would hope that if there's something of significance that needs to be evaluated, that it would be done by perhaps the FBI or some other agency that's not as political as perhaps a committee of our body.
Why can't they look into this? They just impeached the president. Was that political, Mitt? Because you were a part of that. But this would look political? They're just going to try to find out the truth, right? Isn't that what they're supposed to do in Congress? Isn't that why they have these oversight committees? Isn't that why they have the powers they do of subpoena and all that? The Democrats just weaponized all that crap against Trump. We know. You helped them out, gave them cover, although nobody was really even going to remember. Mitt Romney really just debased himself in that whole process. In trying to elevate himself, he debased himself. But Trump isn't letting this one go. I mean, there's some very interesting stuff in this Fox News town hall last night with Trump. Trump's like, look, Biden's overseas business dealings, that's a thing. That's fair game. It's going to get talked about. We're going to talk about it. Play clip 1.
Look at the son. Here's a guy, didn't have a job, was unfortunately, sadly, the military was a very sad experience for him. He goes out, he gets $3 million plus $183,000 a month to be a board member of a company that a lot of people said was corrupt. Worse, just as bad, China. I just made a great China deal. China's paying us billions and billions of dollars because of what I did to them with tariffs. Billions of dollars. I mean, to a point where my farmers are in love with me because I took some of that money, gave it to them. But his son walks out of China with $1.5 billion for a fund. Now, $1.5 billion for a fund means he's going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and much more than that.
Everyone thinks that's what? That's okay? That's normal? Supposed to just let that go and pretend that it's doesn't look super corrupt. Doesn't look like it's a complete and utter payoff, a scam, corruption. But, the media, they've tried so hard to cover for Biden on this one. They're not going to be able to do it. We're going to find out more. I know Rudy Giuliani's been over there looking into this, and others. Do they have anything? We'll find out, and we should find out. We have the right to know the truth about what really went on there, especially after being lectured about how, Trump is doing Russia's bidding. Yeah, what was Hunter Biden doing with connections to his dad in Ukraine? We should find out. I want to know what those answers are. All right, so I did preview this at the top of the show, and I skipped past it just because Bernie Sanders is not getting as much attention right now as Biden, because Bernie he's gonna lose. I think we all know that now. There's this term that the Soviets used to use, useful idiot. It was a person who didn't realize that they were being helpful to the Soviet Union in the cause of communism, but they were, and the Soviets loved it. Journalism, in academia, and even some in government who were carrying water for the Soviets And even if they weren't doing it as a form of specific loyalty to the Soviet Union, they were useful to the Soviet Union. Here is, for example, Trump talking about how he was all ready to go with, as he says, communist. I love it. I mean, this president, thank heavens he speaks about things the way he does and just doesn't go through the filter of the media. Play clip 2.
I'll tell you, I was all set for Bernie because I thought it was going to happen. We get ready for things, right? So mentally, I'm all set for Bernie. Communist, I had everything down. He's a communist. I was all set. And then we have this crazy thing that happened, right, on Tuesday, which he thought was Thursday. But he also said 150 million people were killed with guns, and he was running for the United States Senate. Support me, I'm running for the United States. There's something going on there. But I was all set. And, when I focus and we all focus, sometimes you do well and some people choke. I watched Mini Mike choke. When Mini Mike was hit by a very mean woman, he said, "Get me off this stage, just get me off." And that wasn't a pretty sight to be. But I was all set to take on Bernie.
All set to take on Bernie the communist. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when this guy and Joe Biden are going after it? I mean, you wanted this, Democrats. You want it, you're going to get it. Democrats, you want it, you're going to get it. This is where we are. Commie Bernie. Piece in the New York Times. Now it's safe. Now it's safe because the party has decided, the decision has been made really by the DNC insiders, by the Democrat Party apparatus, that it's going to be Joe Biden. It's not going to be Bernie Sanders. So now they'll start printing stuff like this at the New York Times. Now they can pretend to put their journo hats back on. As Bernie Sanders pushed for closer ties, Soviet Union spotted opportunity. Previously unseen documents from a Soviet archive show how Mr. Sanders worked to find a sister city in Russia when he was mayor of Burlington, Vermont in the 1980s. Moscow saw a chance for propaganda. Let me just read you a little bit of this piece. This is great. The mayor of Burlington, Vermont, wrote to a Soviet counterpart in a provincial city that he wanted the United States and the Soviet Union to live together as friends. Unbeknownst to him, his desire for friendship meshed with the efforts of Soviet officials in Moscow to reveal American imperialism as the main source of the danger of war. That mayor was Bernie Sanders, and the story of his 1988 trip to the Soviet Union has been told before. But many of the details of Mr. Sanders' Cold War diplomacy before and after that visit, and the Soviet effort to exploit Mr. Sanders' anti-war agenda for their own propaganda purposes, have largely remained out of sight until now. Bernie was a useful idiot. That's what Bernie Sanders was for the Soviet Union in the 1980s. They're like, we're going to use this guy's clear affection for socialism and communism, clear affection for the Soviet Union. He came back. I've played you the audio. They got great trains. They got great schools, healthcare for everybody, all this stuff, right? He liked the Soviet. He went there. He saw it, and he thought it was a good idea. This guy's the number 2 right now, the Democrat primary in this country. And Democrats get so angry when we say they're socialists. Oh, it's so unfair. Yeah, it's a socialist party. It's just a question of how much socialism and how fast they want to give it to us. The Democrats are a socialist party. Now there's these 89 pages of letters and telegrams and other things from internal Soviet government documents that look at this whole process, and they were exploiting this idiot mayor from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, for their own purposes of propaganda, that America, the imperialist war machine of America, see, even this mayor knows that America's the bad guy. Bernie Sanders, I got to tell you, I mean, people that really think that this guy, sure, he's authentic. He's an authentic Marxist. That somehow has been overlooked in much of this conversation. An ideology that has immiserated hundreds of millions, perhaps billions of people when you add it all up. An ideology that was the primary ideological force that sought the destruction of this country and the free world for, 50 years or so? Bernie Sanders was like, yeah, I kind of like the way they do things over there. We should do more of that. And now that we finally defeated that evil empire of the Soviet Union, thank you, Ronald Reagan, we're supposed to have Bernie import some of the failed ideology that he's been supporting his whole life that was the primary ideology of our opponents in the Soviet Union. I mean, this is some pretty scary stuff when you think about it. I mean, that when I say scary, I mean that he's an individual that wins California. I mean, California, what is wrong with the libs in California? Why are they so crazy? Why are they so nuts? Do they not read anything? Do they not understand anything? And a lot of them claim to be so educated, and they work in the university system there, or they're people in media, or they're in Hollywood, or they're super rich, or they're in Silicon Valley, and they think that because they're good at being computer engineers, the rest of the world should listen to them about everything else. It's very poor judgment with someone like Bernie Sanders. Very poor judgment to support an individual like this. And as much as I'm a little bit disappointed that we're not going to have the throwdown, and Trump clearly was disappointed we're not going to have a throwdown between Sanders and Trump that perhaps we could have, I do think that as we look at this now, maybe it's for the best that we didn't have the propaganda effect of a socialist running around as the Democrat. Although this is not going away. AOC is every bit the socialist that Bernie Sanders is. And they're going to have her run. She's going to run. She's going to run for Senate. She's going to run for president. You watch. It's going to happen. So we haven't won this. That's why I thought maybe better to have a repudiation of Bernie on the national stage, because there's this ideology has real. So it's not just Bernie Sanders. He's just the figurehead for it. It's within the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party has incubated this now. It's been there for what really happened, and I could take you in the history here in the 20th century, is that the American Socialist Party and the American Communist Party merged into the Democratic Party. And it has been a something of a Trojan horse. It's been getting bigger and stronger. It's been getting more powerful in Democrat circles. That's what's happened. That's why there is no American Socialist Party anymore. There was. It now just was initially a parasite and is now increasingly engorging itself on the host of the Democrat Party. That's what it is. That's where it went. Got a special treat for you on this Friday, my friends. Eddie Scarry is with us now. We actually started together way back in the day at The Blaze, and he has been lighting it up over at the Washington Examiner as a columnist. He's also got a new book out, Privileged Victims, and he wants to tell us about it. Eddie, great to have you.
Hey, happy to be here, and thanks for bringing up the good old days.
Yeah, man, it was, it's been almost 10 years, buddy. You feeling old yet?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, that makes two of us. All right, tell us about the book, Privileged Victims. Who's privileged and who's the victim?
Well, it turns out that's the dynamic that's set up within our culture now, in every part of our culture, Hollywood, the national media, academia especially. That's kind of where it all comes from. But then also our politics, particularly with regards to the Democratic Party. They say it's the privileged versus the victim. That's kind of the power dynamic that we're always looking at. But in that power dynamic, I've noticed that there's a new class of people born out. They are the privileged victims. People who claim to have been oppressed, aggrieved, victimized, always on account of their gender, their race, or their sexuality. And regardless of whether it's true or not, oftentimes it's not true. They haven't been oppressed or victimized. But that comes with a lot of special privileges now. You can advance a lot of your own interests, whether that's you want more money from somebody, you want national attention, you want to become famous, you want a job. Any number of things, you can get these things simply, and you can get on the fast track to those things simply by claiming to have been oppressed, aggrieved, or victimized, again, on the basis of your race, gender, or your sexuality. And I'll just give you the ultimate example, but there are many, many in my book because, it touches on every part of our culture, and so many people have figured out that this is the fast track to advancing your own interests. But the ultimate example was Jussie Smollett. Chicago police and 2 grand juries now have said he wanted more money from his Fox show empire, and he wanted to get more famous. Well, he knew, because this is the culture we live in now, to get those things, he just had to say, I was attacked for being black and I was attacked for being gay. I'm oppressed, I'm a victim, I'm aggrieved, according to police and according to two grand juries. Now, he made that up. But why did he make it up? Because he sees the pattern. He sees the pattern I saw, that if you just claim these things, make the claim, fake it to make it, that's all it takes anymore. And that's the new class of people we're looking at. That's why I call them the privileged victims. If you claim victimhood, you get all these privileges with it.
Now, do you think that this is ever going to change? Because I feel like this is now something we have to accept. It's part of corporate culture. If you challenge any of this, you get shouted down, you get chased out of the public square, you could lose your job. It feels like it's this issue of victims using their perceived victimology to advance their careers. It's a more powerful tool than it's ever been.
It's a very powerful tool, and that's why in other interviews I've been asked, they said, why is it working? How is this possible? Well, how did we get here? Well, because most normal, ordinary, kind American people, which is the vast majority of it, none of us want to be called racist. None of us want to be called sexist, bigoted, homophobe. So we will oftentimes just back down. The normal person does not want to be called those things, doesn't want to have a confrontation over these things, and also may very well feel, oh, I must have missed something. Maybe I did do something offensive. That is the power of the social justice movement, because that's what powers this dynamic. It comes from the social justice ideology. There is an entire chapter in my book that goes into the entire chapter of my book, Privileged Victims, that goes into social justice ideology, where that comes from. It's basically the left, every one of the left's bad ideas dating back to probably the 50s, communism, Marxism, feminism, socialism, queer theory, all of these things. And how does it change? Well, we have seen signs that there is some fight in people. I point to the election of Donald Trump. I think 50% of the reason why people chose him was because he said, look, I don't care if you call me sexist. I don't care if you call me racist. This is how I see it, and I believe this thing to be true, whether he was talking about anchor babies, immigration, any number of things. And then also the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. The Me Too movement has been entirely infected by the social justice ideology, seized by the social justice mob. That's why we're seeing so many ridiculous claims and trying to roll it into, oh, that's another Me Too. Well, there's another Me Too. Well, Donald Trump stood behind Brett Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh fought it. You had the Republicans on the Senate Judiciary Committee. And by the way, that was another thing. If you remember, leading up into before we even got to the hearings, the media's main disqualification of the whole thing, to say the whole thing is a sham, is, this is run by old white men. That was just an automatic dock against them. You couldn't trust.
Right.
You couldn't
Unlike Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, who are youthful and vigorous. Eddie, we have to leave it there for now. But everyone should hear. Obviously, you got a lot to say. They should hear more about this, read more about this with Privileged Victims on Amazon, available wherever you get books. Eddie Scarry of the Washington Examiner. Thanks for joining us, Eddie.
Thanks, Buck.
It's time for roll call.
Some jazzy roll call to set you off on your weekend. Hope everything is going to be fantastic for your team. We've got some of your wonderful comments to get to today. We got the penalty box ready to rock with producer Mark. He'll be chiming in as he tends to do with his wisdom. I'm another week, man. Another week. Whew. It's quite a time. It's going to be quite a year. That much I am very confident about. All right, Facebook.com/Buck Sexton if you want to send me a message on Facebook. Also, teambuck@iheartmedia.com if you want to send me an email. Sorry, I don't know why. I'm starting to pull Joe Biden over here. I'm like, Producer Mark, my legs. I got some sun in California that turned a little blonde. I'm going to have people look at my leg hair.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
He's got me on that one. All right, Adam, first up here. Buck, for the climate change nickname, I think climate cultist rolls off the tongue, and it's about as short as I think you can get. Climate cultist is actually a little tough to say, I think, Adam, but I appreciate your point, and I think that you're, as content or as something that is trying to describe the situation, I think that certainly works. So, yeah, there we go. We can do that. We can check that one out. I appreciate that. Elvin. Cool name. I started listening to you since the Glenn Beck days, but I lost track of your whereabouts for some time. However, thanks to the magic of the podcast, I am back on the team. I enjoy your serious take with the funny twist to the daily events. My teenage son and daughter are also warming up to your show. Oh, well, glad to have you back on the team, Melvin. And please, if you know anybody else that knows me from the old days when I was found a lost puppy in a back alley about to go get a graduate degree. Good heavens. Oh, good heavens. Instead, I went to work in media. But yes, please do spread the word. Pass the buck. Tell people that they can find me on podcasts. Our podcast numbers are growing. I am so thankful about this. I really mean this to all of you that get someone to listen. We see every single time you get an additional we can see every download. So when you get your friend to listen, that is showing up. It's like a vote for the show, and we tally up all the votes every month, and it's what keeps the lights on up here. Producer Mark, this guy just got married. He's moving to a new house in Jersey. Producer Mark needs a new pair of shoes, probably a new lawnmower, probably, a nice handbag for Mrs. Mark, known as Ariel.
I didn't realize that apartments need lawnmowers now.
You moved to an apartment?
Yeah.
But you moved to a house?
No. I think I have that kind of money.
You got to update me. Now it seems like I don't even know what I'm talking about over here.
You think I have that kind of money?
I don't know.
You know
what
how much houses cost?
A lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're moving to like urban NJ.
Kind of. There's an apartment right next to Secaucus Junction.
Oh, okay. It's going to be close, though, which is great, because now I was going to have to get him a little cot for the Freedom Hut, but now Producer Mark can basically live here. He'll see Mrs. Mark on the weekends. Ariel, you said she's a good cook, right? What's the go-to?
She's a good cook. She doesn't really have a go-to.
She just anything she does pretty good? Yeah, that's nice. Well, I'm excited for you to have your new place.
Well, thank you.
And that your commute will be shorter than mine.
About the
you will
same.
spend less time daily commuting.
Well, yes, that's for a different reason.
That's for a different reason. Yeah, it's got to do 2 radio shows every day. All right, Elvin, thank you so much. Isaac, hey, Buck, we all love Producer Mark. Both of you do a great job. I really enjoy audiobooks, and I'll grab your book regardless of what form it's in. However, I'm curious to know if you're going to release it as an audiobook. If so, are you going to read it yourself? I've always been slightly disappointed when I hear an audiobook written by someone who speaks for a living only to find a surrogate narrator. Isaac, it's going to be released by my friends at Stansberry Research. It's a joint project with them. So I wrote this book, but they're going to be putting it out. There'll be a website for it. And I'm not exactly sure when we're going to have that up, but it's a matter of a few months now. So it's coming. David, hey, Buck, love listening to the show. I'm not a doctor or a health professional of any kind, but I feel the common cold is there to keep our immune system in check. Beside getting a serious illness, the cold helps our immune system stay healthy. You can't stay healthy all the time. Shields high. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you, David, for writing in. I don't know if that's, from a medical standpoint, really a factual thing. That seems to me, I think we could be fine without, because your body is fighting off. There's a constant war. We're in war mode. War mode. There's a constant war going on of the various microbes. 5 pounds of microbes is what you actually have in and on your body at any point in time. That's the estimate. And they're always, you have right now bacteria on your skin that would be scary to hear about. You have staph bacteria, most likely, staphylococcus on your skin. You have other kinds of bacteria that, are in and around your body, but they're not at pathogenic levels, or they're not at levels that would make you sick. So I don't know if you need to get a cold for your immune system, but you do need to be exposed to germs to keep your immune system, which just means live your life. Live your life, eat healthy food, limit your vices, limit your drinking, your smoking, your super sugary foods, and get enough sleep. Sleep is essential for immunity. I can't tell you how many times I miss a night or two of sleep, usually because I'm out partying, and Producer Mark has to pick up the pieces in here, and I'll get sick afterwards, because your immune system, if you overtax your immune system this is real. This is hashtag science, or actually just science. You need enough sleep for your immune system to be functioning. So do not think that getting 4 or 5 hours for a few nights in a row is something that you can get away with. You're going to get sick. David. Oh, no, we already did David. Sorry. Jake Buckapalooza. Hey, man. What's up, Jake? I think Tulsi's situation is a perfect microcosm for the Democratic Party. For all intents and purposes, she should be their poster child. She's doubly intersectional, is articulate, has far left-leaning views, would be the first female president, has a record of sorts in government, and is an example of legit girl power as a major in the Hawaiian National Guard. And she presents well, if you catch my meaning, We catch your meaning, Jake. So what if they preach what was actually believed? They would embrace her. So why no traction? Why no love? The reason is the big media hasn't given her the spotlight. The establishment picks the winners and spoon feeds the media. The media is the X factor for all libs that have a voice. Hillary Clinton doesn't like Tulsi, so Tulsi gets the cold shoulder. Talk about election meddling. Jake, I think your analysis about the media's treatment of Tulsi Gabbard is true. They don't like her, but the reason they don't like her is that she is out of step with them on the Democrat establishment on foreign policy. That's why you hear all this stuff about, oh, she's like a puppet of Assad. That was the big hit. You haven't heard that in a while, by the way. That was the big hit on her for a long time. And she is, she loves the military, and I think that she wants to be respectful to Republicans and to Trump supporters. That doesn't fly. You can't be respectful to Trump supporters if you're a Democrat these days. If you want power in the Democratic Party, you have to sneer at Trump supporters. You have to think Trump supporters are odious people deserving of no respect. So yeah, I think that's where it is with Tulsi Gabbard. And look, she's very far left. I don't agree with her on a lot of things, but she doesn't strike me as a shameless, pandering, hateful politician. And that's what does really well in the Democrat Party today. That's what you really need to be. I don't know if this is Robbie or Robi, the way it's spelled. When I hear clips, these hold on, let me redo this one. When I hear these celebratory baby butchers, I am reminded of a scene from the movie Legion. An old woman is, okay, Robbie, I'm going to skip this one. It's pretty intense. Thank you, though, for writing in. Lori, have you considered a side career in political comedy? Is there such a thing? Because I think you would be fantastic. Seriously, you could make a script and do a show with all your voices. I can hardly stop laughing when you imitate these differing political figures. I just love your impersonations. Shoot, during the election season, it would be a perfect time for a debut. Keep your fabulous impersonations coming. Thank you, Lori. I'm going to remember Lori, because sometimes people write in like, I just like when you're doing the serious analysis. Save the country. Leave the comedy to other people. I get that sometimes. I was like, oh, excuse me. I like Lori's approach more. Lori, I don't know. I've talked so much about bringing back an old character from the Blaze days called Commie Bear. I've really thought about it, and now that we have the Pluto TV, it'd be more fun to do. Maybe we could just do like a graphic with Commie Bear behind me or something and have his little mouth move. I don't know, but I do like doing the comedy. I think we need to mix it up, especially those of you who do me the great honor of spending all 3 hours of radio with me every day, Monday through Friday. I want you to, I want it to move quickly. I want you to have, I want there to be intense learning and fighting for what we believe in terms of principles, but I also want there to be fun stuff too. I want people to enjoy their time they spend with me. It really matters to me. So I like the political comedy aspect of it. And that's why, I never get sore, never get my nose out of joint when producer Mark is getting salty over there, when he's being Groucho Mark. I'm like, it's okay. He's allowed to be a little salty sometimes. He's also keeping the trains on track here in the Freedom Hut. Darby. Hey, I remember Darby. I haven't heard from him in a while. Shields High, your brother from Dallas here. Haven't heard anyone point out that the abortion industry in America is basically a huge money laundering scheme. Congressmen and women vote to give Planned Parenthood millions. Planned Parenthood then makes huge donations to politicians. It's a self-licking ice cream cone. Keep up the fight, brother. Yeah, no, I've talked about it. The abortion lobby is probably among the very most powerful lobbies in the United States. They always talk about the NRA. NRA's got nothing on the abortion lobby. And unlike the NRA, the abortion lobby actually kills people every day. All right, our roll calls continue here. Wait, but before we get to roll call, producer Mark, did you see this poll they did of people that were asked what video game they would like to see made into a movie, and the winner was Pac-Man? What is wrong with people? Look, there are so many great options out there. Pac-Man? Pac-Man?
I don't know how you make it a movie. There's
First
no
of all,
story.
Did they already make it a movie, or is there already like
there was
a cartoon, right?
A cartoon or something, yeah.
Do you have one? If you had
Off
to make
the top of my head?
if you had to make a video game into a movie, is there one that you would?
Grand Theft Auto comes to mind, but that would be just
That'd be epic.
insanely
Yeah.
gross, probably for some people.
Well,
I'd enjoy it.
they couldn't do like the really gross stuff.
Yes.
I remember I played that game for a little bit. I never got that good at it though. There were some games that I really leaned into and became like ninja level.
Yeah.
And that was not
Oh, I'm
actually
not good at
the
it, but I
game
like it.
Tekken, which was an old ninja video game, would be a cool movie because it's like ninja stuff, but also works in like Japanese. How do I like the mystical and like demons and monsters
Yes.
and stuff kind of too. Or Ninja Gaiden. I don't know if you ever remember that
don't.
video game. Obviously, I'm really into the ninja thing right
Yeah.
now, but I grew up. I watched so many ninja. I love ninjas. I watched so
I
many
can
ninja
tell
movies
you bring it
growing
up all the time.
I just watched a little bit of the Tom Cruise movie because it's on Netflix now, The Last Samurai. The only part of that movie that I really want to watch, I just skipped to the middle where they have the ninja scene. That's the best scene in the whole movie by far.
How do you just watch the middle of a movie?
You just Netflix. I've seen it.
No, I know how you do it physically, but why would you do that?
Well, just because that scene's really cool,
Okay.
and you can skip right to it.
I'm sure it's on YouTube if you really just want
I've
to see
done
that
too.
scene. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good scene though.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
All right.
Well, whatever. They made some movie years ago, like Ninja something or other, and it was unwatchable trash. I can't even remember. It was supposed to be all about ninjas in like the contemporary context. I was very disappointed in it. I need to make the ninja movies. What needs to happen?
Sure.
You know.
We'll get right on that.
Yeah. Paulette. Hey, Buck. Faithful, rather addicted listener who used to believe 99% of what you say. Until this week, I wasn't convinced that people connect your name with the adult film industry. This week, I was talking about your show to a male employee who suddenly looks up and asks if I said Buck Sexton. I affirmed that indeed I had. He then asked me a question, is that like a porn star? I immediately said, yes, it is. I enjoy spending my 5-day-a-week, 2-hour commute listening to a porn star. I'm going to let him think that for another week because I'd rather enjoy the looks he keeps giving me when he doesn't think I can see him. Next week, I'll give him the lowdown on the Freedom Hunter and hopefully get you a new listener. Much love to you and producer Mark. Shields high, gentlemen. Yeah, thank you, Paulette. This is the joke that very not funny people keep making. I mean, I tell my parents, I'm like, why do you guys have to give me such a weird name? They gave me this name. I didn't choose this name.
That's one of my favorite emails.
Yeah.
Because, like, that person isn't doing it to mock you. Like, he doesn't know you're a Republican commentator. He just legitimately heard the name and thought you were a porn star.
Yeah, but maybe the porn star does a great podcast. You know, maybe the porn star that's very, very,
There's
very well
got
read.
to be one out there.
Oh, there's got to be a guy. There's got to be a male adult film star who
Male or
is-
female. There's got to be.
Well, right,
yeah.
I'm a dude, but yeah, I'm just saying there's got to be one. You know who actually likes some of my tweets? Is the very, very famous former adult film star Jenna Jameson,
Huh.
who is a conservative.
Maybe we'll get her on.
That'd actually be really interesting.
Yeah.
I would. Bill O'Reilly had her on years ago. I remember that interview.
Well, that was probably for different reasons.
I just remember Bill O'Reilly had her on, but it'd be interesting. I would gladly have her on to hear about her politics. So
Okay.
at some point,
I'll work on it.
She's definitely right wing. I'm not sure she's like James Woods level right wing, but she's
Sure.
definitely right wing. We gotta have Woods on too. He's been great on Twitter. Greg, hey Buck, you said Braveheart is the greatest movie of all time. I agree. Let's not forget that Mel Gibson is also the greatest actor of all time. He should still be making movies on that level to this day, but the Hollywood left ruined him. It's extremely sad in a way. Shields high. Greg, I mean, I agree with you obviously about Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson has to take a lot of responsibility for ruining Mel Gibson, if we're really going to be honest here. But I appreciate you writing in, my man. And I think Braveheart's just like has a special place in my heart as a movie. I remember my mom took me. I saw it with my mom back when it came out when I was in high school, I think, senior in high school maybe. And I came out of there and I was just like, I want a broadsword, lad. Where is my broadsword? I want to wear a kilt. I want to go fight the English. You know, do the whole thing. And yeah, although it would have been very cold, you know, and wet a lot at that part in that time and in that part of the world. So I don't like being cold and wet. Chopper. Hey, Buck, in regards to children at restaurants, I mean, do people tell him, get with the chopper? Probably, right? A general rule I've always practiced is the minimum age of a child is determined by the cheapest entree on the menu. $7 is age 7 minimum. Seems a great way for everyone involved. I could co-sign on that. What do we think?
I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. John writes, Buck, thank you for having the courage to talk about the atrocity of abortion. I find it strange the same people who want abortion for 9 months will protest drinking milk. How misguided. John, appreciate you writing in. I feel like whenever I talk too much about that, there are people in different stations who probably think that it's hurting the ratings, but I think it's important. I talk about what matters, and I hope you all respect and appreciate that. But always let me know your thoughts. Team, you have a fantastic weekend, please. That's what I would ask for all of you. Rest, recoup, regroup, do all the things you got to do. Try to tell somebody about the Buck Sexton Show. Tell them to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or on the iHeart app. Until Monday, shields high.